What is animation? On the surface, it may look like a simple question, but going much further in depth, you'd be surprised at just how wide the world of animation truly is. Recently, I asked a group of people what their favourite animated movie is, and the results I got were fairly common answers: Shrek, SpongeBob and Frozen. Now, while these aren't bad films by any means, they're mainstream answers. These are films that almost everyone has seen, and I believe is the reason why these films were chosen as their favourite animated movie. Not because they have appealing animation, or groundbreaking, or made strong emotional responses, but because it's one of the only animated films people have seen. Animation in mainstream Hollywood is classed as a genre. It has its own section for BAFTAs or Oscars as Best Animated Film. I heavily disagree with this, as animation is an art form. It's a style. Any film that was made with live action could be made with animation, but the same can't be said for the other way around. This comes down to the very manner of how animation is produced, which coincidentally, the same group of people I asked earlier have little idea of how the process actually goes. Traditional animation is hand-drawn frames being layered one after another to create movement. Traditional artists would portray weight and movement by going over frame by frame to portray this realism to the audience. In addition, these drawings would go through various separate people, from initial designers to character artists to the animation supervisors and key animators. Good animation will typically stay on model, which means that the characters never look different based off the initial design. Alongside portraying realistic weight and physics, this is just the line work that goes in traditional animation. Background, colorists and effects artists all have a play into creating any piece of animation, so it's a miracle that anything comes out looking as smooth as it does as it goes through this agonizingly tedious process. At least 2D animation is done like that, as films we looked at before like Shrek and Frozen are actually 3D animated films. The difference between 2D and 3D animation is something not many people can answer, based on yet another question I posed to that audience. So to put it as simply as I can, 2D animation is drawn on paper and 3D animation is a character in space on a computer that has depth and layers. Due to 3D animation having set character models, this actually makes 3D animation simpler than 2D animation, as you're not constantly having to redraw the same character every frame. You have the character, you just need to model the movements. While this is still tedious and has similar issues with portraying weight and physics, this ultimately makes 3D animation cheaper and more appealing to studios, as it's money saved which can be completed quicker than 2D projects. This is why we've been seeing less and less traditionally 2D projects coming out of big studios in recent years, with Disney outright remaking one of their old 2D films in 3D. So does this mean that 2D is a dead animation style? Absolutely not, as 2D animation can be completed by anyone, anywhere, and creators on YouTube keeping the style alive, as well as Japan keeping 2D as its primary style for anime. Not to mention films like Spider-Verse being made, which was designed to look like 2D animation. The passion is there to keep such a wonderful style alive. Unfortunately, animation as a whole is not seen or appreciated as much as I think it should be. Beautiful scenes full of colour and life come from drawings more than what most live action films can do. Animation is just seen as a child's form of entertainment, which it absolutely is not, based on the amount of adult animations that have been released since the dawn of the art form. There's a reason studios like Disney, Japan, or online creators push the animation line, as they understand just how beautiful the appeal is, the sheer groundbreaking nature of some shots, and the raw emotion we can feel from these caricatures. So before you go, allow me to ask you a question. Has this opened your eyes? Because if animation can present us with shots like this, I definitely don't want to keep my eyes closed for even a second. Thank you for watching.